to practice adding and subtracting decimals using the traditional method. So for these, I'm going to set up your problem for you, and some of them I won't. You're going to take a pause on the video, solve the problem, come back, and we'll do it together. So this first one says 19 7/10 added to 4 92 hundredths. I'm not even going to set this one up for you. I think you can do it. So go ahead and translate your word form to traditional form or number form and add it up and come on back. Let's do this one. So we have 19 7/10 plus 4 92 hundredths. Let's remember our magical decimal line. I almost forgot there. So our numbers are all on our magical decimal line. I see I've got a blank here. I need to go ahead and fill that up with a 0. Remember, 19 7/10 is the exact same as 19 70 hundredths. 0 plus 2 is 2. 7 plus 9 is 16. 10 plus 4 is 14. 24 62 hundredths should be your answer. Let's move on to the next one. We've got 1 82 hundredths added to 15 8/10. Go ahead and work this one out on your own. Let's go over it. I'm going to make sure I have my magical decimal line before we even get started. We've got 1 82 hundredths added to 15 8/10. As you can see, I have a blank there. I'm going to go ahead and put my 0 in. 2 plus 0 is 2. 8 plus 8 is 16. 5 plus 1 is 7. Bring down my 1 there. 17 62 hundredths. I hope you got the same answer. If you didn't, check and make sure you lined up your decimals correctly. I know it could be a little bit confusing with the way we had 3 numbers on top and you would have had 3 numbers on the bottom, but make sure you use your magical decimal line. Next, we've got 7 99 hundredths plus 8 34 hundredths. Go ahead and add them up. Let's work it out. We've got our magical decimal line right here. We've got 7 99 hundredths plus 8 34 hundredths. Let's add it up. 9 plus 4 is 13. 10 plus 3 is 13. 8 and 8 is 16. 16 33 hundredths. Make sure you're checking your answers. If you get them wrong, you need to pause the video, go back, and rework it to see where you went wrong. 15 76 hundredths plus 8 2/10. This is going to be your last addition before we move on to subtraction. So let's go ahead and make our magical decimal line and work it out. Let's work this one out together. We've got 15 76 hundredths plus 8 2/10. Again, I've got a blank here. I'm going to put a 0 there so I can keep all my lines nice and straight. 6 plus 0 is 6. 7 plus 2 is 9. 8 plus 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 2. My answer is 23 96 hundredths. I hope you got the same answer. Let's move on to subtraction. We've got 3 subtraction problems that we're going to do today. Your first one is 8 42 hundredths minus 5 14 hundredths. Go ahead and work it out, but don't forget your magical decimal line. Let's solve this one. Magical decimal line. Make sure you're transitioning your brain to subtraction. 8 42 hundredths minus 5 14 hundredths. So subtract like normal. I know I can't say 2 minus 4, so I'm going to borrow from my 4, make that a 3. Add 10 over. So 12 minus 4 is 8. 3 minus 1 is 2. 8 minus 5 is 3. Bring that decimal down. 8 42 hundredths minus 5 14 hundredths is 3 28 hundredths. If you did not get the same answer, look at your work. See if you can figure out what went wrong. Let's move on. 16 46 hundredths minus 13 87 hundredths. Go ahead and work it out. Magical decimal line. Let's write it out. 16 46 hundredths minus 13 87 hundredths. Can't say 6 minus 7, so I'm going to borrow, make that a 3 and a 16. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That gives me 9. Can't say 3 minus 8, so I'm going to have to borrow again. Make that a 13. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 5. 5 minus 3 is 2. 1 minus 1 is 0. So 16 and 46 hundredths minus 13 and 87 hundredths is going to get me 2 and 59 hundredths. Last subtraction problem. I hope you're getting these all correct. I'm excited to hear from you in the Google Meet how this went. Let's draw a magical decimal line, and you can go work it out. Let's write it up here. 34 and 27 hundredths minus 17 and, whoo, that's not a 1. That's supposed to be a 5. 51 hundredths. We're subtracting. 7 minus 1 is 6. Have to borrow from my 4 to make that a 12. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Got to borrow again to make that a 13. So this is a part that I kind of want to explain my thinking sometimes, because I like to do doubles plus 1. So I know that 6 plus 6 is 12. So I'm going to say 6 plus 7 gets me 13, because I know I'm just adding 1 on there. So I know 13 minus 7 is 6, and 2 minus 1 is 1. Add our decimal in. So 13 and 27 hundredths minus 17 and 51 hundredths gets me 16 and 76 hundredths. I hope you got most of those problems correct. Hopefully all of those problems correct. I'm excited to check it. Remember, I do go through your Nearpod and see how you're doing. And that really changes what group you're going to be in for tomorrow, because tomorrow we have some spooky stations. Go ahead, you have some workbook pages to get done before you meet me back in the Google Meet. I look forward to seeing you there.